Please be seated. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody again to another class of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program Teacher Certification course. That's a long title there, isn't it? Everybody online, we'd like to thank you for being here too, and those of you that are in the conference room here, of course. And our next class, just to let you know in advance, will be on 12/25/22 at 5:30 p.m. 12/25 at 5:30 p.m. Look forward to seeing everybody here again too. Well, tonight, getting right into it here, we'll be in the Respect unit. There we go. That's the cover of the Respect unit right there. Continuing on in the Peaceful Solution, going through all the different units and looking forward to finishing up with this particular section. So in respect, one of the reasons respect is so important is because, first of all, everybody deserves it. It's not earned, like some people would tell you. Possibly we've been told that all our life, you know, you have to earn respect, that type of thing. But it's not, that you have to earn respect, but it's not earned. It should be given out no matter what. You should respect people. You should respect their belongings. Respect yourself. Respect your belongings, the environment, possessions. So respect is needed in every aspect of society, but you don't actually see it too much out there. Quickly, we went over in the last class the introduction, note to the student introduction, and the value of respect is actually the name of this particular chapter. And just to go over briefly on the intro again, have you ever heard the saying, and this is page 3 in your Respect unit, have you ever heard the saying, you must stand for what is right or you will fall for anything? I heard that as a teenager. But what this means is that you have to know what is the proper way to conduct yourself so you're not influenced to do something that's morally wrong. Positive morals, keep in mind, hurt no one in any way. So you don't want to be influenced to do something that's morally wrong. You want to do what's right. That hurts nobody or anything. This takes different traits such as honesty, compassion, responsibility, and respect. Developing these traits will enable you to stand for what is right and treat others with care and concern. Turning on over to page 4, excuse me, this is where we will be actually starting off with tonight. Different strokes for different folks. Now, page 4 and 5 here is mentioned in the lesson plan. We go back just a moment to lesson plan 1, page E. Lesson plan 1, page E. So we finished procedure 2. Now the procedures here are a guideline for the teacher. This is so you can make sure that you point out certain things along the way, the main points of the lesson, and also to kind of give you a guide on what to do and where to go. Instead of jumping around in the book, you follow the guide. And we went over page 1 and 2 and page 3. And in procedure number 3, there's an activity. Now, if you're in a classroom situation, the activity is a great thing to do. It can help drive home the point with the students, dividing the class into a few different groups and so forth. In this particular setting, we won't be doing that tonight. So we'll be moving on to procedure number 4. Now, procedure number 4 starts out, it says, have students turn to page 4 through 6 in their handbooks and read the sections entitled Different Strokes for Different Folks, and, flip the page over there, Steps to Showing Respect. It says to tell students that value leads to appreciation. When they appreciate their belongings, they will want to take care of them and expect others to do the same. Have students do the corresponding activity then found on page 6, and then to discuss with students some of their special possessions, ask the following questions. how do you take care of them? And I'm asking these now, but this is for your own benefit. You can ask yourself, how do you take care of your possessions, and what rules have you made regarding how other people should respect your possessions? Possibly you don't have any rules. You should. You should have some rules so that if you ever loan anything to anybody, you would be able to give them the rules of dealing with your belongings. And you should expect that if you borrow something from someone else, you should expect there to be rules associated to how you deal with their belongings, so forth. So let's go ahead and turn over to page 4 now, in different strokes for different folks. And you'll notice the little artwork at the top of the page. It says, "One man's junk is another man's treasure." For those of you that don't have it, put it on the overhead there. Right up here at the top, one man's junk is another man's treasure. And have you ever heard the saying, "One's man's junk is another man's treasure"? Well, what do you think this means? Now, this saying points out an important characteristic of respect. What you consider useful and important might not be the same to others. And because we are a society of diverse people, cultures, ethnic backgrounds, our upbringing and experiences differ. Now, I'd like to share something with you here. When we're talking about junk and treasure, of course, we have a few examples in the book here too. But there's a company that deals in, I'm not trying to advertise the company, but it's a very large company that deals in cars that have been taken over by or bought by insurance companies and so forth. Say your car was wrecked and it was unfixable, or even if it was, the insurance company will look at it and determine a value on it and how much damage was done. And if it reaches a certain percentage of the value of the car, the damage, then they will total the car out, pay you off for the car, and you can go buy another car, and they take the car. The way they dispose of these, in a lot of cases, is to send them to junk auctions. Okay? Remember, junk, treasure. So this one company started out in 1982, and it had one wrecking yard in California. And he decided to expand. He was doing pretty well. He decided to expand. So started in 1982, and then in 1995, he had gotten big enough around California that he went nationwide. And just to give you an example, here in Texas, I don't even know how many there are, but I know of at least 7 locations here in Texas, and this is just one state. And they're all over the nation. Well, later on, they went worldwide. And so now, and I do mean worldwide, I mean everywhere. If you're online bidding on one of those cars, you could see other people in Abu Dhabi or Ukraine or Brazil or wherever bidding on that same car. Of course, they're going to have a little bit more delivery fees than you would, but they're bidding on that car. And so it's a worldwide company now. How many years is that? 40 years? And it's huge. Started out, one wrecking yard, and now the family is billionaires. It's just an example to you, since they deal in junk, that one man's junk is another man's treasure. Some people would have looked at one of those wrecked cars and just blown it off and said, "Man, what a piece of junk. I wouldn't even mess with that. It's so torn up." But these people made a huge success story, at least in the financial realm, of what could occur just by looking at it with a different thought pattern. Instead of junk, they looked at it as treasure. So different strokes for different folks. One man's junk is another man's treasure. And there's many stories like this. I mean, people that collect antiques and other collectibles, people that buy old houses that are just run completely down, and they fix them up, and then they look like a showpiece, So there's all kinds of examples about this. And because we are that society of diverse people, of different cultures and ethnic backgrounds, how you grow up, your upbringing, your experiences, how you grow up has a huge bearing on what you consider to be valuable or not valuable, what you consider to be junk or treasure. Our likes and our dislikes vary depending on what we consider valuable. Understanding the concept of respect takes into consideration that although something might not be valuable to you, it might be valuable to someone else, and therefore we should show respect towards that thing. When it comes to values, page 6 in your character unit talks about values. Now, this one's a little scribbled on there, but a few notes. You can write all over your book, by the way, all over the pages and so forth. Those notes don't go away. I've had a few of this particular book, probably 3 or 4 of these respect units, and at one point the pages just get too full. But if you look at this page, and this is page 6 in the character unit, values. Values are what you believe in or feel strongly about, and they also play a key role in developing your character. The sum total of everything you value, and we're talking about valuing, one person values something to be junk, one person has a high value on it and looks at it as treasure. The sum total of everything you value becomes your value system, though, which goes much further than that. And as you mature and grow, your parents share their values with you, just like their parents shared their values with them. Just like this man I just told you about with the junk company shared his values with his family, and it's a big family business that has now gone public and so forth. The things that they care about and consider as important are for the most part the same things that you care about. Of course, as you interact with people other than your parents, you'll adopt other values as well. And it just gives you an idea. You could continue reading on at some point in time, but it gives you an idea about what values are and how they apply to individuals, how they apply to possessions, and so forth. It goes really deep. So people value different things for many different reasons, and when you regard something as valuable, you take into consideration its worth as measured in usefulness or importance. For example, although you might not be old enough to drive, you can understand the value of having a car, right? I know I do. A car is very useful and convenient. You might say it's a necessity sometimes, depending upon where you live and what your job is and so forth. Other things that are valuable because they are beautiful, that's called aesthetic value. And for instance, you can value your rock collection of quartz or crystal because they're beautiful, or you might value a painting because of its beauty. So here's some examples too on this. When you're talking about like the crystal, yeah, crystals, if you've ever seen one, I mean, they're very nice. They're kind of neat to look at, and they got all the different angles and edges and everything, similar to like a diamond, right? But a diamond, even though it has a lot of the same characteristics, the diamond is rarer than the crystal itself. And in most cases, you're not going to find a diamond as big as crystals are. I'm from an area where they have crystal mines and diamond mines, in fact. And the crystals, I mean, you can find big old honkers, big rocks of crystal. But when it comes to a diamond, you might find just a little speck, or sometimes they find one that's quite a bit larger, and people actually get to keep those when they find them. But but the diamonds cost way more than the crystal does. Even though the crystal looks nice and it has some of the same characteristics, the diamond, because of its particular rarity, not because of the way it looks, but because of its rarity, you'll find that they cost a lot more than the crystals do. So that's just an example of how some things are valued for the way they look and what they are. Others are valued because of their rarity and so forth, okay? Now, the same thing might apply to a painting because of its beauty. I've seen some paintings that I wouldn't have necessarily called beautiful, but yet they were worth millions of dollars to the art market, right? Millions of dollars because it was painted by a popular painter. It's rare. He only did one of this particular kind, or during that year, something made it very rare and very desirable for art collectors. And it might be one of the ugliest pictures that you've ever seen when it comes to actual, beauty, and looking at it and saying, wow, that's really nice. Look at that, But different strokes for different folks. Some people look at it and say, oh, the beauty of that picture. It's so wonderful. Look at the brush strokes and the colors that he used, and look at what he was trying to say in that picture. Well, different strokes for different folks, You can drive around and look at houses going down the road, and you're going to see some really funny colors sometimes on houses. What I call funny colors. Obviously, somebody liked that color because they painted their house that color, right? Whether it be a real bright turquoise or something like that. A pink house, I would find a little strange, but there's pink houses nearby here, actually. So it's, again, different strokes for different folks. People like different things, okay? And, part of what this has caused, these different likes and dislikes, this is called personality. And personality is interesting. It isn't character. It's close. There's a line that you have to draw between personality and character. Overhead, please. There's a line that is drawn between the two, and some people mistake personality for character, and vice versa. So here in the Peaceful Solution, one of the things that we've got to do if we're going to learn about respect, and we're going to learn about self-control and acceptance and character in general, when we're doing this, we've got to find out the difference and learn the difference between character and personality. Now, we touched on that quite heavily in the very first unit, and in fact, this is page 25 in the character unit, character versus personality, in the teacher's manual. But and you can take a look at this. I'll read it here in just a moment. Or what is personality? I'm sorry. Page 23. I got ahead of myself. So let's take a look at it. What is personality? Because it's so easy to confuse personality and character, it's important to explore what's meant by personality. Personality is made up of behavioral traits that are unique to each individual. Unique. Personality is the process you choose in how you govern your feelings, attitudes, and preferences, and it's the basis by which you choose to interact with others. For example, when you first meet someone, you notice if they smile, when they say hello. You might notice if they're humorous, serious, outgoing, shy, what have you. And other aspects of your personality include such things as your preference for foods, colors, and hobbies. Do you eat things for taste only, or do you choose foods that are healthy? Do you like loud, bright colors, kind of like the turquoise or the pink house? Or, do you like quiet, softer colors? Do you choose hobbies for fun only, or do you choose them for exercise or education? And on this particular thing, most people choose their friends based upon compatible personalities. In other words, during the course of casual conversation, two people discover they both have the same goals and share some likes and dislikes and so forth. So that's what personality is. And back to page 4 in our respect unit, that bottom paragraph, again, it says the important thing to remember is that some values are based upon personal preference. That's what personality is. And although values are different, respect must remain constant. Just as you would want others to treat your belongings with respect, you must also treat their belongings with respect. And one of the things we try to get through to our students in the Peaceful Solution, I highly encourage every teacher to try to do that, is to get that get that difference of character and personality, get that down and really push it with the students so they can understand what the difference is between the two. And so just to touch on that tonight, so we don't mix our values up and think that personality is character and vice versa, take a look at that. It's important to distinguish between an appealing personality and a positive character. Keep in mind that personality is what we notice right away when we meet someone. You know, just like, well, if the person that likes that painting we were talking about before likes the $1 million painting, but doesn't like the dime store one, but maybe you go along there and you like the dime store painting better than the $1 million one. Again, that's personality. And there's no reason for one person to be mad at the other because of a personality issue like that. It's just different. That's all. Different strokes for different folks. Now, it's how we present ourselves to others. In fact, if we meet someone who appeals to us, after only one conversation, we think to ourselves, oh, he or she seems like a nice person, okay? Now, character, on the other hand, and this is what we've got to get in us here with the peaceful solution, and when determining our values, when we're determining how to conduct ourselves with people and so forth, we've got to know what character is. So character, on the other hand, is what helps you determine what is right and wrong. Character defines the way you treat yourself and the way you treat others. It dictates your moral and ethical beliefs, and it's not as easy to recognize a person's character as it is to recognize their personality. Many times, true character is hidden behind a fictitious personality. So we want to take time to learn about a person's character, regardless of the personality, and be aware of these things. You know, it's very important to learn the difference between personality and character, because the way that you show respect, I know there's many people that think that because I have a different personality than you, I might be showing you disrespect because I choose something different than you, because I won't give in to what you want because of your personality, and you're not giving in to my personality. But if it doesn't result in a fight, if you're not hurting anybody, anything, the environment, or yourself, or no one else, then we're talking about something that really doesn't matter. It's just personality. You're keeping the peaceful solution. You're practicing positive moral character if you're not harming anyone or anything. On the other hand, if a personality difference does bring forth a war, then you've got a couple people who are not practicing the peaceful solution. You're not practicing positive moral character. If your personality does affect somebody to where they somehow can't handle it, and a tough situation ensues, you know, the peaceful solution would teach you to back off and, you know, talk to them another time. Try to diffuse the situation. Hope I was clear about that. But remembering different strokes for different folks, that's really kind of the best way or the easiest way to say it. And we've got to remember too that that positive character, when you're talking about your values, and when you're talking about what's important to one person and what's important to another person, you have to remember too that there's a ripple effect to everything that you do. And so remember that positive character ripples outward as well as negative character. You know, get off the personality thing for a minute. Think about the character. Think about how to handle the situation in everything that you do, and then you'll have a peaceful life. Let's go on over to page 5. Page 5. And this is steps to showing respect. And one of the reasons that we were talking about values and what's important to one person and another person is because there are steps that you have to follow to show respect. You first have to value somebody or something. You have to value it as important before you can even learn to appreciate it and show respect. If you don't value it as important, you're never going to show it respect. If you don't value, let me think of an example for you. So there's a piece of cardboard laying on the ground and you walk by it and you look at it, it's just junk. I mean, you don't value it for anything. On the other hand, here comes somebody that is doing an art project and they were looking for a piece of cardboard that was exactly that size. Now, what do you think about that person? Is that person going to value that piece of cardboard? Or what if it was about the size of this book right here and I was sweeping the garage floor and I couldn't find the dustpan and I saw that piece of cardboard laying there that needed to be thrown away, possibly, but I saw it there and I picked it up and used it as the dustpan. Wasn't it valuable for me right at that time? So just because something seems like junk and you would really show it no appreciation whatsoever, remember, everything has use. Everything has use, and it might not be useful to you at that time, but it might be useful to someone else. And keeping in mind, I don't mean to jump ahead in some of the other lessons, we're going to go into that, but keep in mind that all people are useful. All people have value. You might not know exactly what the value of that person is at the time, but if you got to know them, you might find what that particular value is, and then you could learn to appreciate that person and respect them. But when you're looking at respect, and of course that's different values. That's a value for what you see that a person is capable of doing. But you should also value a person for being a person, human life. You should value that person. Appreciate that they are human and that they do have some capability. You might not know what it is. And then respect that they have a right to the same life that you have a right to. They have a right to safety. They have a right to express themselves. They have the same rights that you do, and so you should respect that. The lesson will explain that much, much better. But also with friends, it's important to have friends too. So let's get into this a little bit, and we'll talk about it more. But showing appreciation for your belongings begins by first recognizing their value, because this is more on belongings right here. Begins by first recognizing their value. You might value one of your possessions because you worked hard to earn it. All right, who in here has worked hard to earn something and finally bought it? I see a few hands going up, and you were able to finally buy it or have it assigned to you or whatever the case might be, and you appreciate it, you value it. And if you do, then you show that item respect. You take care of it, right? Was it a reward? Was it something that was given to you by a family member, possibly a parent or something you really valued a lot and really cherished? So sometimes people value something. This is page 5 in the respect unit. Sometimes people value something because it has been in their family for a long time and has sentimental value. For example, you might have an old t-shirt that you wore when you and your family went on vacation or something. And to your friends, it's just an old t-shirt. But to you, it represents a special memory. This goes back to different strokes for different folks. One man's junk is another man's treasure. After you've recognized that your possessions have value, the next step is to appreciate them. Now, to appreciate something is to be thankful for it. Appreciate, thankful, okay? Appreciate, thankful. To appreciate something is to be thankful for it. For instance, you might not appreciate the value of a winter coat in the summer. Yeah, it's hanging in there in the closet. You're not even worried about it. You don't even think about it. You might have even forgotten the particular coat that you had. But come wintertime, you're going to be looking for that thing, aren't you? I think we're all learning there's a great value in those winter coats this time of year right now. But in the winter, you're thankful and appreciative that you have a warm coat to wear. So now you're learning a little bit about how to appreciate something. Thankfulness and appreciation lead to the next step, which is respect. You show respect for your possessions by taking care of them, and taking care of your belongings includes not abusing them, keeping them clean and orderly in their appropriate places, being sure that others who might use them take care of them as well. And let's see. So, positive moral character, being thankful and appreciative for being able to learn positive moral character in changing your life, in being able to understand how things work in society, how things work with people, how things work with your what's going on in your mind and your feelings and so forth. You learn this through the peaceful solution. You learn how to conduct yourself. You learn how to control your feelings. You learn how to control your feelings about others. You learn how to conduct yourself with others and so forth. And so positive character is valued by society as well as it should be by you. And you should consider positive character your most valued possession, actually. We're talking about possessions, and positive moral character is something that you have, that you own, that's yours, and nobody can take it away from you. No one can steal it from you. You can give it away. You can do away with it and go back to doing something else, but nobody can actually take it from you. Let's just see this real quick. Okay. Have you ever read the classifieds? All companies and businesses require that their employees be honest and reliable. They even ask if the applicant has ever been convicted of a crime, and if so, what was the crime? Some companies require that anyone applying for a position with them must undergo drug screening too. Businesses are also aware that their customers value honesty and dependability. They advertise these moral character traits in order to make potential customers interested in their businesses. Any business that provides a product or service for the public knows that no one wants to feel cheated or to be ripped off. They also know that if they make inferior products and are dishonest in any way, customers will no longer trust the quality of their products and they would go out of business. So now we have businesses and learning about customers, society in general, they value positive moral character. And so this should be showing you that positive character should be something that should be very valuable to you. It should be a possession that you appreciate, and you should respect that you are learning that and it's actually taking effect in your life, and then protect that. Protect it with all your might, actually. And then also when it comes to friends, okay, so you've learned to be thankful, you've learned to appreciate that you have this positive moral character, you've learned to show respect to your belongings, and it's important that we also show respect to people, which is in another chapter coming up. But I just wanted to point out that it's very important to think about this with friends and friendship too. You can value and appreciate the friends that you have. You can value and appreciate that they too are learning and practicing positive moral character. And then you can learn to respect each other in your day-to-day actions, how you conduct yourself with each other, what you say to each other, all these things. And that's the practice of the peaceful solution. And that's what we're doing. When we practice the peaceful solution, we're practicing it to learn. We're practicing it with each other. Sometimes somebody's going to step on your toes. Sometimes you're going to step on somebody's toes. You're going to say something that you think, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Or they might let you know that, hey man, please don't talk to me that way. You might do the same thing. But we're practicing and we're learning these things. And so that's really the purpose of this whole thing. You know, in the acceptance unit, there's a page 87, that talks about there being a purpose to it all. Well, this is the purpose of doing all of these things, of learning this peaceful solution, of learning about value, appreciate, and respect, is so that we can do these things and live with one another in a peaceful world without causing war and fighting. And so in Chapter 5 of the Acceptance Unit, page 87, the introduction to that unit says there is a purpose to it all. And I just want to read this to you real quick. To have purpose in life means to have a positive direction in which to grow and mature. And the reason I'm reading this to you tonight, for those of you out there especially that are watching online, you might wonder, what does this have to do with anything, really? You're talking about values and appreciating and so forth. Do I really need to do all that to respect somebody? Well, yeah, you do. You have to know these things. You have to learn what respect really is. It's not what you've been taught in the movies. It's not what you've been taught by the games. It's not what you've been taught at all if you haven't been learning it from the Peaceful Solution, I assure you. So there's a purpose to all of this, and to have a purpose in life means to have positive direction in which to grow and mature. It means knowing your purpose helps you to know what you want to do with your life. And how can you tell if there is a purpose in someone's life? Well, look to see if they're motivated and determined to accomplish things. Motivated and determined to accomplish things. Do they set goals? Do they have a plan for the day? Do they have a plan for the week? Do they have a plan for the month? There's short-term and long-term goals. But are you motivated and determined to accomplish these things? Do you set your mind on a job or a task that you're assigned to and look at it and say, I'm going to do the best that I can possibly do? If you do, that's showing respect to yourself. It's showing respect to your coworkers. It's showing respect to your boss. It's showing respect to society because it ripples out, remember? A positive moral character ripples out and a negative moral character ripples out. Choose which one that you want to do today. So people with purpose strive to learn all they can about a particular subject. And, all the things that you learn might not be while you're on the clock. I mean, I know people that have gone into a certain field and they put their life into learning about that field. They put some time into it. Yeah, they got paid to do some of the work, during a certain portion of the day, but, they found their nighttime hours and every moment of the day thinking about how they could really do great at this particular thing. And in this case, what we'd like you to be doing is striving to learn all you can about this particular subject, which is the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, and teaching that. All right, so they strive to learn all they can about a particular subject so that they can know best how to proceed. This requires education, not just in the classroom, not just on the job, but also in real-life situations. And it's up to you to determine your purpose and make choices that will help you succeed in achieving your purpose. And here's a key thing, though. Unless you understand that your life has purpose, and there's a lot of people that don't. If everybody understood that their life had purpose, we would not be having the suicides that we have on a daily basis all around the world. People have not understood their purpose yet and understood how important they are. They haven't understood that they do have value and that they should appreciate themselves and that they should appreciate others and others should appreciate them. So unless you understand that your life has purpose, you can easily dismiss the effect that you have on the lives of others. As an example of that, if a man has a family, for instance, and he were to just kind of give it all up, and whatever the case might be, possibly the suicide thing we mentioned earlier or other ways, but give it up, then he hasn't really looked at the effect that he has on the life of others. And I say he, it could be she, it could be, anyone. It could be on a job, for instance. Maybe you have a job and it's very critical in the job you're in that you be there and doing that job, and you get mad one day and you don't even think about the effect that you have on other people's lives that are in that job too, or on the company or so forth, not thinking about others, just thinking about self. You can easily dismiss it. If you don't think that you have any purpose in life and you just say, I'm just going to go home, you can forget all about the effect you have on other people. Without an appreciation of just how significant you are to your family and friends, you might begin to feel as if your life has no direction or value. Never think of your life as meaningless, unimportant, or useless. Everyone has something to offer and contribute to the lives of their family, friends, and society as a whole, and you can do whatever you set your mind to do. And that reminds me of something that was said to me when I was younger. Y'all have heard me mention it several times, but I was told by somebody that did believe in me and did see the value and appreciated me as a young person that, they said you could do whatever you set your mind to do. And I remembered that all my life. It was a very positive thing. And it was because that person did see the value where many others did not. And we should be taught in the Peaceful Solution. We should take hold of it and care about learning how to see the value in people. And to know, just even as a human being themselves, we know there's value in them, and we should appreciate them and respect them as a human being. Again, that's other lessons that are coming up, and you'll be able to look at these things. So let's just review this real quick. Different strokes for different folks. The one man's junk, another man's treasure. What you consider useful and important might not be the same to somebody else. Remember, we were all born in different places. We learned different things. We grew up in a different manner. And we should take into consideration the worth of something, people and things, and look at the usefulness and importance and find the value in these things. And then steps to showing respect is learn to value, appreciate, and respect. Those are the building blocks to get there. Again, learning about values, knowing what they are, showing appreciation to your belongings, to other people, and learning how to respect. And let's turn over to page 6 real quick here. Page 6. People have rules regarding their possessions. For instance, does your mom or anyone else, your wife, your mom, somebody, ask you not to walk on the carpet with your shoes on? Or do you ask your brother or sister not to eat while using your computer? I know I've spilt things on a computer before by not being careful, and I know there are other people too that have spilt their drink or got cookie crumbs or something up in the keys of the computer. That's not great. That's not really respecting and taking into consideration the value of that item in front of you that would be very expensive to fix when something like that takes place. So we learn things along the way. We have some things thrown at us, and we've got to leave ourselves a little bit of room to grow as we're learning these things and how to be respectful. Has your dad ever told you not to play with the ball in the driveway because the ball could break the car's windshield? Again, this is page 6 in the respect unit. And that, for instance, as a child, you might have thrown that ball many times and it never bounced on anybody's windshield. And you're looking at it thinking, well, shoot, Dad, this thing isn't going to break anything. What are you talking about? You're thinking that. But you know what? Then comes the time that it does break the windshield, or the time that it does put a dent in someone's car. And then you think about it and you're like, oh, that took place. And then your dad says, well, I told you not to do this. Usually if you take something light on what the authority, whether it be your dad, your boss, something like that, if you take it light, what they tell you to do, and then you don't pay any attention to it, and then here it comes. Whatever they told you, like don't do it because it could do this, whatever they told you, here it comes. You went ahead and did it because you took it lightly, and then that very thing occurs. You know, it's a big deal. A lot of times people are not reimbursed for whatever got broken or torn up or what have you. Sometimes they are, if the person that broke the item has learned how to show value and appreciation and respect and responsibility. But so when someone tells you, when authority figure tells you, please don't do this because you might do this, you might break this, you might dent this, you might cause something, then take that to heed and obey it. Just don't do it, you know. So when we make rules regarding our possessions, here's another thing that sometimes is looked past. Like I have something that you borrow from me, I let you use it, and I put certain rules on it, and I say, please, when you return it, please make sure that you park it right over here by the fence. It's very important. You go and use it for 3 days, you come back, and you're in a hurry, and you don't remember where I told you to park it, and you just park it out in the middle of the driveway, and I come back, and I don't have my truck with me to move it. I don't have a trailer ball. I don't have anything, and there's that trailer in the middle of the driveway that you used, and now what does that do? Does that cause peace? No, it doesn't. When you use someone's belongings, you should look at the rules that the other person has on those belongings and live up to those rules, and that causes peace. You never know why a person has a certain rule on an item, on the use of an item. You know, they might need it back by a certain time because they need to use it for something. They might need you to park it in a certain place because they need it for something. They might need you to not reach in the toolbox to get something because there's something in there that's going to hurt you the minute you touch it and you don't even know about it. So it might be the rules might be there to protect you from getting hurt. They might be there to protect you from hurting the owner of the possession. They might be there to protect the possession from being torn up and harmed. So follow the rules. We are in effect, when we make rules regarding our possessions, we are in effect telling others how we want them to respect our belongings. And rules show that we care about what we own and that we expect others to care as well. So that's what respect is about. Respecting them, respecting their possessions, showing true care and concern to people and their belongings. That's what respect is about. And this is how we show respect, by doing these things, valuing that people have a right to do these things. Now, on this page is an activity. It says, I value my belongings. List 5 things you own and value. Why do you value them? What rules do you have regarding them? So think about this for a moment. Think about something that you own, that you have rules on. What rules do you have regarding this thing that you own, that you value? Everybody in here has something that you value that you have rules on. Think about it for a moment. Think about that item, whatever small it is or however large it is. I mean, it could be a car, it could be a computer, it could be a phone, it can be a nice writing pen that you have. It could be your coat. It could be anything. It could be a pan to cook in. So think about that. Think about why you value it and what your rules are. At the bottom of page 6, it says, it's not hard to take care of something when you see the value in it. That's right. When you do see the value, it's not hard to care for something. It makes it very simple to do. But if you don't care about the item, you're going to kick it around and do whatever with it, see? All right. So let's go back to the lesson. Lesson Plan 1, page F. Lesson Plan 1, page F, in the respecting it. And up at the top, we just went over steps to showing respect, and then we went over the activity, which you could do that at some point in time. If we move on down to procedure 5, it says, explain that although we live in a society where possessions can be more highly valued than individuals, people are more valuable than any possession. And so think about that statement for a minute. We do live in a society where some possessions can be more highly valued than individuals. You know, if someone murders somebody for denting their car, that's occurred before, or for stealing their pork chop. You know, I remember reading about, I think it was two brothers or a son and a dad. They got in a fight over a pork chop, and one of them ended up dead. You know, I mean, really, think about it for a minute. So we live in a society where possessions can be more highly valued than individuals. If you're stealing $1 million diamond from a jewelry store, and the police tell you to stop, you might get shot. Think about the different things there, the different things that can take place. You know, one country values their land more than another country, or values another country's oil or land or what have you, and they're willing to go to war to get that land or that oil or those resources. So they value possessions more than they do people, in fact. So, but people are more valuable than any possession. Stress that in the same way that you value your possessions, you must learn to value yourself and others. And then it says guide class discussion if you have that classroom situation by asking the following questions: who deserves respect, and what should respect be based upon? Explain to all students that all people deserve to be shown respect, and that respect must be based on our shared humanity. Have students turn to pages 7 through 9 in your handbooks and read the section entitled Appreciate People, They Have Value Too. So we're going to turn to page 7 and talk about that for just a moment, because we busted into it just briefly, and there's a little bit more to it than just this. But if you look at that, page 7 in your respect unit, at the very top it says, appreciate people, they have value too. Appreciate people, they have value too. And of course it shows kind of a diverse mix right there of young men. It's very easy to identify why you value your possessions, such as a computer, CD, or clothes. But did you know that people are even more valuable than any possession that you can have? Of course it is. How can you replace a human life? You can replace a computer, you can replace a car, you can replace whatever possession that you tell me, you can replace it. And even if it's something that is, 200 years old and there's not another one like it that you know about anywhere, it's just a thing. That's all it is. You can't take that with you. If you die, you're not taking that with you. So what makes it so important? What makes it more important than a human being? What makes it more important than respecting a human being? So people are more valuable than any possession that you can possibly have. Sometimes, however, we place a high value on our belongings, yet treat each other in a disrespectful way. Now, we talked about having belongings, having possessions, and you being able to put rules on them, on how other people will use your possessions if you were to loan it out and so forth. But you still need to treat others in a respectful way, even if they treat you disrespectfully. Even if they did park your trailer in the middle of the driveway instead of where you told them. Even if they did bring something back to you and it was broken and they tried to hide it or whatever. Even if they did take something of yours when you were not looking. You should still treat them with respect in dealing with the situation. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Remember that one? 2 wrongs don't make a right. So respect for people begins by realizing that everyone, including yourself, has value. And that goes back to learning what values are, what makes something valuable. And page 6 in the character unit, in fact. Appreciating yourself begins when you realize that you are a unique person with many ideas and qualities that can be beneficial to your life and others. This is called self-respect. So, yeah, you think about yourself and you realize that there's a purpose to everybody's life, and you find your purpose, and you can take little steps to doing that each and every day. You can find that purpose just by putting forth all the effort you can doing whatever job it is, whatever thing it is you do each and every day. If you put forth the effort, you can find the joy in doing whatever it is that you're doing, and then you start finding your purpose in life. It's an amazing thing when you enjoy what you're doing, no matter what it is, you know. And again, it goes back to different strokes for different folks. Some people might not see the value in a certain job in a trash collector until the trash is overrun in their driveway and their trash cans. Then they start thinking there's some value to that job. They might not see the value in somebody that cleans out septic tanks, you know, until that's overflowing and they need it cleaned out. Then they can learn to appreciate and value that person or that person's job too. So, and appreciating yourself begins when you realize that you're a unique person with many ideas and qualities that can be beneficial to your life and others, and this is called self-respect. People who have self-respect that is based on true morals, remember, self-respect based on true morals, positive morals, not the respect that they show in the movies where someone's saying, you disrespected me because you told the cops on me, and they hold a gun up and shoot them, you know. That's not respect. That's not true positive morals, you know. So people who have self-respect that is based on true morals can develop a positive character and make decisions that will keep them safe and healthy. And at the bottom there, this is straight talk. Recognizing your value as an individual should never be confused with being conceited. Right. Now, yes, you need to have self-respect, but not to the point where you think you're better than everyone else and you respect yourself only and not anybody else, you know. That's not even true respect for you. Recognizing your value as an individual should never be confused with being conceited. Appreciating your value simply means to acknowledge your talents and potential and to make every effort to live up to your potential. You can do so confidently, knowing that your values reflect true, positive character. Recognizing your value leads to self-respect, and people who have self-respect are more likely to avoid risk-taking behavior. They strive to develop a positive character and do not succumb to negative pressure and influences. And so I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. We're going to stop right there. Chris will be the next teacher. He'll be, I'm sure, reviewing at least page 7 there and going on from there. And their next class will be on 12/25/22 at 5:30 p.m. And we look forward to having you all here again. And for those of you that are online, please return. Thank you.